Back in May, we headed out to Hardin County to visit Color Me Mod in Cecilia, Kentucky. Operated by Lisa and now her son Alex, Color Me Mod grows a wide variety of flowers and foliage on 3 acres. This year they will have Baptisia, Ninebark, Russian Sage, Nadia, and Lisa's favorite, Calla lilies. If you're a peony fan, Color Me Mod has you covered. They have over 500 peony plants on their property, so be sure to keep that in mind next year for peony season. For 4 years now, Lisa has been growing on her little slice of paradise here, and 100% of what she sells, she grows directly on the farm. Now, Lisa and Alex also have an eye to the future. They have been implementing practices to ensure that their land stays healthy and their business is long-lasting. They have planted perennial flowers as well as trees and shrubs that they'll be able to harvest from in years to come. During our visit, Lisa clipped a variety of gorgeous Color Me Mod blooms that she sent us on our way with to create a design as we please. Today, Dakota is going to be designing 2 arrangements, a simple tabletop arrangement and a full vase arrangement. As he goes along, he's going to be explaining a bit what went into the design for these 2 arrangements, what other flowers you can use in place of the gorgeous ones that we got from Color Me Mod, and also just some tips and tricks when you are designing. If you have any other questions, feel free to put them below and we will answer them in the next video.
We're going to start out with a 5-stem tabletop arrangement. This one is super easy to do. You can use almost any flowers you have, even if they've got really short stems. So first I'm going to use a floral frog with this one. You can find these online pretty cheaply. All I'm going to do is place it in the bottom of my dish. I'm going to use a little moss to kind of hide the mechanics of this. So I'm just placing it over my frog. I can still get my stems down through the moss. It's just hiding the metal. And then I'm going to fill it with water up past the top of the frog. A little more. First, I'm going to take my big flower. I'm going to use this beautiful double tulip. So I'm going to cut this one pretty short. So I want it to stay pretty close to the bottom of my bowl. I might need to take a little bit off. And with the frogs, all you do is press down into the pins, and it's going to hold that stem in the water and keep it where you want it. Next, I'm going to use some ranunculus to finish this out. I've got one stem that just has the little blossom forming at the top. I'm going to use that for my height, so I'll press that in on this side. And then I'm going to fill in the rest with 3 more ranunculus. These 2 are more open, so these will go down lower. I'm going to put this one kind of at the back side, just to give us some color on that side. You can see I just placed it at a shorter height. The next one, I want to save some of this greenery, so I'm going to leave that on. The other one's going to go on this side, and I'm going to press that in. The last one's going to be a little taller than the others, and it's going to go right there. So I've got all my flower placed. Next I'm going to add just the leaves that I kept from the ranunculus stems. And you can make these as busy or as simple as you'd like, but that's it. This can go on a coffee table or even as a cheap and easy centerpiece for an event. Next, we're going to make a medium-sized vase arrangement. We'll be using some tulips. We've got some ranunculus, some variegated Solomon seal, and some autumn olive. So I've prepped the vase. It's filled with water and flower food, and I also did some tape across the top and around the rim of the vase. That's going to hold my flowers exactly where I want them, so it stays the way I designed it. In another video, we'll show you a step-by-step process in gridding with the tape. So first I'm going to use some of this autumn olive just to kind of give me a base greenery to kind of help hide some of the tape I've got while also helping to hold my flowers a little better. So I'm just going to cut up some pieces of this. The leaves, you don't want to push too many leaves down into the water, but if it's below the tape, it'll help hold in place. I didn't fill the water all the way to the top of the vase, so it's sitting probably ½ an inch below the rim. Florists tend to use leatherleaf fern for this step. It's a cheaper option, but we were able to get some autumn olive from Color Me Mod, so we're going to use that today. Okay, and I've got a pretty good base, and we'll come back and add some more as we go along, but I'm going to start with my tulips. I've got several different sizes. Some are smaller, some are fairly opened, and we've got some that are kind of drooping, but I actually want that today. So I'm going to start by placing kind of a medium placed tulip. Next, I'm going to add one of those that is kind of drooping to give me my length on the side. So I'm not going to go past this one in my size. And the ones that can hang and drape are actually going to help hide that tape around my rim as well. So if I wanted to add some larger flowers, like a large peony, I would want to keep those down lower, so that you want your heaviest weight on the bottom. If you put a big one right up here, that might kind of make your vase look lopsided, or that would just draw your attention up there and it might not look as designed as it actually is. And if you've got a mix of different colors, you can use the same flower but different colors. If you've got you know, a variety of flowers, you don't just have to use the same flower. We just saw these beautiful tulips and decided we would do a large assortment of the same tulip. And I think I'll just place a couple more tulips before I start filling in with some of the ranunculus. So I'm going to place another one taller. Okay, so I'm going to start filling in with the ranunculus next. As you start having anemones, you can also use those the same way you would a ranunculus. They're about the same size and comparable. So one thing I've had people ask me is how you get flowers to stay at a specific angle. So one of the ways you can get a flower to go in a you know, more of a straight on is by cutting it shorter. If it's a really long stem, it's going to want to tend to go upward. But with the tape, I can cut the stem shorter and angle it out like I've done here. Remember to rotate your vase as you're designing, so unless you're going for a one-sided look, you'll want to rotate so it's pretty similar all the way around. I've got a nice mix of pinks, and we'll add a little white in a minute. But monochrome color schemes are popular right now, so different shades of the same color. So now I'm going to add some white, and you can see there's some yellow inside. You'll want to be mindful of that. You know, sometimes if you order from a florist, you can't choose the color of the inside, but if you're picking up from a local grower, they might have several different options. You'll just want to make sure that inside color is going to go with everything else you're doing. Sometimes that color can add just a little pop that the arrangement needed to help stand out. We're going to switch to some fillers. If something's falling, you can always pull it out and reposition. When you're working with floral foam or a natural alternative to floral foam, you can't put a stem in and pull it out too many times, but when you use a vase or tape like this, you can. You just can't cut anything. Once you cut something, it can't be any longer. Yeah, if you're worried about placement, you can always stick something in, and if it's not where you want it, you can, if you can't push it in anymore, you can pull it out and recut it. Always, like when you're doing carpentry, you measure twice, cut once. Same with flowers. It's a little harder to measure, but you can stick it in and test it out. Sometimes things don't work, so you have to just pull everything out and start over. As long as you haven't cut your stems too short, you can redo it a couple times if you needed to, because no one's perfect, especially as you're learning. So I've got this Solomon seal, the variegated Solomon seal. I'm going to cut into a couple different pieces so I can place in various spots. That's the good thing about greenery, so I can actually cut this into two more separate stems. And then I can place those short stems around the outside to hang down and cover my tape. And then I'm going to add these longer pieces up through the mix. Just make sure that stem goes down into the water. When we do show you how to grid, we'll talk about you know, whether you want big spaced grid or you want it pretty tight. When you're working with larger stems like these tulips, you might opt for a larger grid and not so tight. As you finish up, you might see that you do still have a few holes you need to fill, so that's why I saved some of the ranunculus just in case. And there we have it.
A big thank you to Lisa from Color Me Mod Flowers for spending the morning with us and showing us around her gorgeous farm. You can find Color Me Mod Flowers in several flower shops around Elizabethtown, and you can find Lisa and Alex at the Hardin County Farmers Market every Saturday.